guys, what's going on? Gonna work on the Droid some more here. Couple things I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw some primer on it, at least that top piece, because I want to see if there's like any more dimpling. I want to get out as much of that as I can. And then the other thing is, I'm not happy with the hemisphere eyes that came with the kit. They're too small, and so I need to make new ones. I've never done any molding and casting before, so that'll be interesting. And then the other thing is, where they're supposed to go isn't actually a circle, it's more of an oval, and I'll show you that here in a second. And so I may have to reshape that piece to be a circle, because that's what it's supposed to be. And then there's like a little lip that, because the eye is supposed to be kind of recessed in there, it's supposed to have like a little proud lip around the eye. So I'm toying with different ideas on that. So anyway, let me show you what I'm talking about here. So this isn't really a circle. It's close, it's just not quite. It's a little bit taller than it is wide. And I think it's the same here. It's just a little taller than it is wide, and I think it's gonna look weird when I put the eye on. And I want these eyes to be a lot bigger. I want them to really fill that space. So, as you can see, it looks a little bit, taller than it is wide. These things are going to be bigger anyway, but I need to, I think, shave down a little bit there and there. Let's see how bad this one is, how close it is. See, it's the same thing. It's a little bit more wide than it is, or a little bit more tall than it is narrow. And this one is, get the other one. The little eye. This will have to be remade as well. Not sure what I'll make that one out of. Yeah, this one's the same thing. Just a little bit. Not as bad on this one, I don't think. But because I took that proud circular area off, it kind of exaggerates that a little bit more, because I think that's what they did was... anyway, I don't know why they did it. But I'm gonna correct it. That's much closer to a circle than it was before. The other, I don't know if you can tell, I don't know if the camera can pick it up enough, but this is still kind of more of an oval. So I'm going to use the coarse one to take the material down. Gotta be careful, because there's all these little lens, or what are these things are called? I don't know what they call them. They're all over the place, and you'll bump into them and you can tear them up. Sensors, or whatever they're called. Wish I would have seen this before I glued all this stuff together. It would have been so much easier to work on. Looks a bit better. It's probably still a little bit off, that's fine. Let me smooth this one out. Alright, so I'm coming up to something I've been, I don't know why I've been dreading it, but I have been. And it's the same reason why I've put off building my Imperial Probe Droid, not Imperial Probe Droid, my training remote, is molding and casting. I've never done it before, I don't know why. It scares me, but it does, and I have everything I need to do it. I just keep putting it off. Like every project I've had that needs that, I just put it off and I don't do it. So I think this is going to be the easiest possible thing I could do, because all I'm doing is making new eyes, which is basically taking a sphere, building a little box, putting some clay down, sticking a ball, a sphere in there, and then pouring the silicone on top of it and pop it out, and you have a hemisphere after it's cured. And then I just pour resin in that, and I can pop out new eyes. So that's probably about as easy as it's gonna get. My other projects that require it, I'm gonna have to build 2-part molds, and it's gonna be a little bit more technical, I guess. So anyway, I needed something perfectly glassy and smooth, because that's what the eyes should be. They're supposed to be like a glass lens. So what I'm going to use is marbles, and they're not actually hemispheres, truly. They're kind of like just domes. They're not full. Like if I take both the eyes that were sent to me, they're a little, it's not a half, you know. So I figure I could take a sphere, and there it's got that perfect glassy smooth finish, and just fill it up part way, and then I can sand it down to the height I want it to fill the diameter that I want, and hopefully that will work. I'm hoping that the small marbles will work for the small eye. It's gonna be pushing it. They don't quite look right. I might have to find something else for those, but I specifically wanted to get the big marbles for the big eyes. I'm gonna cast up all 3 sizes I have. This big one, normal small one, and then this other set I bought has a slightly smaller one. So I'm gonna do all 3 of these in one mold, and yeah. So I gotta get to making a box for it, and actually do it. All right. Let's get started on this, finally. Okay, got my struts, and here will be my box. Once I glue it together, I'll put all the marbles inside of that. Alright, so I've got the box made. It's good enough. It doesn't have to be anything special, it's just temporary. Next thing I need to do is throw this plastilina clay in there. This is supposed to not react with the silicone. And I put a layer down of that, kind of thick, and then I'll press these marbles into it and then kind of, work the area so it kind of builds up a nice sharp edge around it, and try to keep it as flat and smooth as possible. And then once that's done, I pour silicone over the top of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill it up with clay and see how this goes. Oh boy, exciting. Woo! Probably not deep enough. Stuck in there. I'm just going to smooth it out a bit. Try to push it up against the edges so I have a nice crisp line. I know that this could be a lot deeper in there, but I don't need it to be any bigger than that, like that depth, because that diameter is way bigger than I actually need. So I'm just going to kind of work this in here. So my mold doesn't look as horrible as this clay does right now. Alright, here it is. It's pretty uneven in there, but I don't really care because I'm going to be filling it up to like here with silicone. It's ready to be filled. So yeah, top it off. Never done this before, so like I said, it freaks me out. I don't know why. It doesn't seem that difficult. It's just, I don't know, weird. Alright, so I'm going to kick this off. I think all I got to do is mix the two silicone components together and stir it up and pour it in, so it doesn't seem too intense. I do think I'm supposed to put like a release on it, or that's supposed to help with the other, or with removing the mold, but the release I have is old, so I bought the kit and didn't realize you needed to use it pretty quickly because it expires. So I've heard you can use like a cooking spray. I don't know. Not sure if I'm going to do that this time. Anyway, it's a pretty simple mold. It should pop out, but I don't know. We'll find out here in a minute. I just realized I didn't add enough clay. Like, I was thinking that, anyways, I had it backwards. You have to think about the problem backwards when you're making a mold, because you're making a negative of it. It's not a positive. And I just realized I did it backwards. So I'm adding more clay, so the exposed side of the marbles is shallower, because that's what makes sense when you fill it back up. Because those bigger marbles, they need to be able to pull them out of the mold. And if they're taller, or I mean if they're wider inside of the mold than they are at the top of the opening, then that's a problem for getting them out without breaking your mold. So I'm told. Got my A and B. I need to thoroughly mix before mixing with part B, thoroughly mix before mixing with part A. Start with A. This is fun. It's a pretty pink color. It's not good anymore. It's totally solid. Like, yeah. Well, that sucks. I wonder what B looks like. Or if it's still liquid. B is still liquid. Great. So I got a bunch of that. It's useless. Alright, so I still don't have a mold. I'm kind of annoyed. Let's say I'm very annoyed. I'm mad at myself because I should have known that this stuff isn't going to last too terribly long after you buy it. I probably had it for 2 years, so that's my bad. But on the other hand, it doesn't say anything about how long it lasts. There's no expiration date. There's no, it lasts this long after manufacture. There's no manufacture date. The only thing you can see that's kind of it's not really an indicator of when it was made, but there's a lot number, and you could probably look that up somewhere or call somebody and find out. But it's pretty useless information to have. I mean, it's good for them for tracking it, but not real handy to the user. So, Smooth On, looking at you, could we start putting a date on here of some sort and some sort of guideline of how long it lasts? That would be fantastic. Now I have a Part B that seems to be perfectly good, but no Part A to use with it, and this is essentially brand new. So I don't know how long it's going to last because I opened the seal, but so in the meantime, because I don't want to spend $30 on 2 small jars of silicone, I'm probably just going to do that silicone caulk mold. I forget what it's called, proto putty or something like that. So yeah, that'll be another video. Anyway, yeah, I'm a little frustrated with this. So till next time.